We're going to be talking about Lock, Stock, and Barrel, which is the historic firearms exhibit in the lower court at the DeWitt Wallace Decorative Arts Museum as part of the Museums of Colonial Williamsburg. Lock, Stock, and Barrel is probably our longest running exhibit. It's a little bit past 20 years at this point. It opened in October of 1995, and it was meant to showcase the collection of Colonial Williamsburg's military firearms and the broader picture of firearms, technological evolution, and civilian versions of the same used in early America. Well, when you first come up to Lock, Stock, and Barrel, the first part of the exhibit you'll see what we call the exploded musket, which is a reproduction musket where we've taken all the bits and pieces and we've soldered them onto wires and rods so you can see the internals and how everything fits together. From there, we morph into a technological progression of ignition systems. Muskets in the period fired using flint and steel or something similar involving fire igniting gunpowder. And between the beginning of the 17th century and the end of the 18th century, how a musket was ignited changed drastically. So after we go through the different ignition systems, we come to the lineage of the Brown Bess musket, which is the standard infantry musket of Great Britain between about 1730 and well into the 19th century. After we go through the evolution of the Brown Bess musket, we talk about variations of such muskets as used aboard ship, also carbines and pistols and officers' guns. We then morph into civilian firearms that would be used for hunting birds, go into rifles. We have a special section on the guns that were owned by Lord Dunmore, and then we sort of end up with the Revolutionary War and how we went from the Revolutionary War arms used in this country to the beginnings of the federal firearm manufacturing system. Well, Colonial Williamsburg is certainly unique because it's the only place where you can come and see the best, most complete lineage of the Brown Bess musket, and then when you're done, you can go to our musket range and fire a reproduction of one. I'd highly recommend before you go to the musket range, you visit the Museums of Colonial Williamsburg, you go downstairs to the lower court and you spend some time looking at the heart of the exhibit, Lock, Stock, and Barrel, where you'll see our lineage of Brown Bess muskets spanning Queen Anne's War, the beginning of the 18th century, through the Napoleonic Wars. It'll help you understand what it is you're about to be holding in your own hands and firing at a target. The Brown Bess musket was the cutting-edge military tool at the time of the Revolution. It was an incredibly important arm, and that's exactly what every colonist who was going out to fight in the Revolution had hoped to have. I'd also recommend coming to see Lock, Stock, and Barrel because as our longest standing exhibit, it's slated to come down next year. It's going to be replaced by another exhibit that deals with Revolutionary War firearms, swords, and bayonets, and the industries that kept Virginia fighting the war.